I'm Brandy. The boardroom was thick with silence, the kind that's heavy and full of unspoken words. The chairman of the board, Mr. Henry Blackwood, cleared his throat and began to speak. This morning, a special vote was conducted regarding the conduct and future leadership of Blackwood Enterprises. After a thorough review of internal communications, fund reallocation records, and client disclosures, the board has voted unanimously to remove Vivian Reed from all executive duties, effective immediately. Her resignation has been received and accepted. Vivian, my sister-in-law, sat still for a moment. Her custom-tailored suit, once a symbol of her power, now seemed to hang on her limply. She slowly stood up, gave the room a shallow nod, and walked out. The door clicked shut behind her, and a strange sense of relief filled the air. As all eyes turned to me, I simply said, "Let's get to work." The applause that followed was not a wild celebration but a slow, genuine recognition of something more profound than victory. It all started at Vivian's party. The ballroom was a vision of luxury, with crisp linens, towering white lilies, and the soft glow of expensive candles. A string quartet played in the corner, and the New York City skyline outside the grand window looked like a painting. I stepped in alone, my emerald green satin dress catching a bit of light from the chandelier. It was understated, just enough to be noticed but not remembered. When I checked the seating chart, my name, Brandy Blackwood, was nowhere to be found. I asked a young server, and he told me I was at table 12, against the back wall near the service entrance. As I made my way there, I could feel the eyes on me, mostly out of politeness. Table 12 was in a draught, half in shadow. A single flickering candle in the center struggled to stay lit. A plastic champagne glass was placed in front of me, fogged from over-chilling and with a misspelled sticker. Meanwhile, the other women were lifting delicate crystal glasses with their names in gold script. I heard whispers like "she still shows up" and "you know how background characters are, always hoping for a line." Then there was Vivian. She was the queen of the night, wearing a silver satin dress that shimmered with every breath. Her laughter was like the tinkling of silverware, loud enough to draw attention. She was in the middle of a story, surrounded by people hanging on her every word. The real work is knowing when to show up. Some folks only come around once things are already built, like photo bombers at a ribbon cutting, she chirped. A few heads turned my way, but I didn't flinch. Before dessert, it was time for the toast. Vivian made her way to the small raised dais beneath the chandelier. She tapped her crystal flute, her eyes locking on mine. To family, to growth, and to knowing exactly who belongs at the table, she began. After polite claps, she paused and turned to me. "And to those who keep trying, bless their hearts." Laughter filled the room, and I knew it wasn't a joke, it was an attempt to humiliate me. I held my plastic glass, looking at the misspelled name. I didn't drink. I could see Mr. Blackwood, the chairman of the board, standing at the back, observing. He nodded at me, and I nodded back. I knew this wasn't about the toast or the table I was placed at, it was about what was to come. Then, the event coordinator announced, "Please raise your glass because it's time to welcome our new CEO." There was a ripple in the room, a silence that sucked the air out. Everyone turned to look at my eldest brother, Victor, Vivian's husband. But when the chairman stood and said, "Miss Brandy Blackwood, congratulations," the room went still. I took my time, smoothed my dress, and stepped forward. As I walked, I could hear the murmurs. "Brandy? Her? I thought she was just. Isn't she the one who works in design?" Up front, the same young server who'd given me the plastic cup rushed forward with a crystal glass etched with my name in gold. I took the microphone. "Thank you. I've worked behind the scenes for a long time. I used to believe that's where I belonged. But sometimes, the quietest person in the room is the one who built the room." One clap came from the back, then another, and soon the room that had laughed at me an hour ago was filled with measured respect. After the party, a server approached me and said, "Miss Blackwood, she's asked to see you." Vivian is waiting in the garden. She said it was urgent. I stepped through the glass doors into the garden. The air was cooler, like the hush before a storm. Vivian stood under a curtain of fairy lights, her back rigid, arms crossed. "You blindsided me, in front of everyone," she hissed through gritted teeth. I remained calm. "You warned me once, and I listened." She took a step closer. "You could have told me, given me a heads up." "This wasn't classy, Brandy." I tilted my head. "Like the time you told me not to attend the leadership retreat because we needed people who understood profit margins? That was classy." She accused me of using my late father-in-law, Mr. Alfred Blackwood, when he was vulnerable. I reached into my clutch and pulled out a set of papers. "Here's the internal audit you edited 3 years ago. You changed bonus allocations to reward your friends. And here's the report you buried after an ethics flag from HR about the vendor contracts your college roommate suddenly started winning." She paled slightly but raised her chin. "You're going to ruin this family," she said. I met her gaze. "I didn't ruin anything. I just stopped playing dead." I walked away, telling her she was still invited to the Monday executive meeting with HR investigations as the first topic. As I was leaving, I was approached by Mrs. Amelia Thompson, the wife of the board member Mr. Charles Thompson. She asked if I could walk with her for a moment. We went to a quiet alcove off the east wing. Mrs. Thompson sat on a velvet bench. "I'll be honest, I didn't think you'd come back like this." I stayed standing. "Neither did they." She continued, "I've been watching you for years. I remember the retreat in the Hamptons when Vivian gave that ridiculous speech about protecting the company's image, and you weren't invited. I saw you walk back to your room alone that night. You didn't cause a scene, you just absorbed it quietly. I saw control in you, the kind most people never learn, and a kind of power I recognize." She then told me that when Mr. Alfred Blackwood died, he left something for me. She pulled out a crema-colored, wax-sealed envelope from her clutch. "He told me not to hand it over unless things got murky." I'd say we've hit that point, wouldn't you? I asked why he gave it to her instead of leaving it to legal. She said, even then, he knew legal could be persuaded, and I wasn't in anyone's chain of command. I took the envelope and placed it in my lap. It felt heavy. She warned me not to open it in front of anyone. Once you read it, everything changes. I didn't open it that night. I took it home and left it on the kitchen counter. The next morning, I stared at the envelope. I paced, sat down, and got back up. I was afraid of what was inside. But after 2 hours of avoiding it and years of self-doubt, I finally opened it. It was a letter from Mr. Alfred Blackwood. He wrote that he'd discovered nearly 7 years ago that Vivian had been siphoning performance bonuses from my division. She'd tampered with the numbers subtly to stall my promotions. The gut punch was that she'd forged his signature on a vote that blocked my promotion. The year I was told I needed more field experience, my project was handed to someone else on her orders. The second page of the letter was a directive. He'd filed a sealed clause in the company's succession documents. As the sitting CEO, I had the power to remove any executive found complicit in internal fraud, retroactively or otherwise. In other words, I could fire Vivian. A few days later, I received a text from Mr. George Wilson, a board member. "Did you mean to circulate the founder's letter? It's being shared." I hadn't sent it. I checked the building's access logs and found that my assistant, Lily, had entered my apartment during my afternoon meeting downtown. Lily had worked for me for 3 years. She was polite and efficient, but she'd been lured by Vivian's promise of a promotion. When I confronted her in the HR suite, she broke down and admitted that Vivian had told her I was going to fire her. I terminated Lily's employment. Then, I went to Vivian's office. She was sitting at her desk, tapping her stylus. Didn't think the assistant had it in her, huh? She said. I laid the board's signed vote on her desk. Fraud clause activated. Your access to sensitive systems will be locked down by close of business. An internal investigation will begin Monday. You can resign with your name intact, or you can fight this. But if you do, I won't protect you. She laughed bitterly, but I could see the fear in her eyes. She didn't know what to say. I left her there, and soon after, the board made the official announcement. Now, sitting at Vivian's old desk, looking out at the city, I felt a sense of peace. I wasn't here just for the title. I was here to carry forward the legacy of those who'd learned to turn silence into strength. Some victories don't need a microphone, they just need time.